Thank you very much for joining us from Everton. Of course, we're asking you guys at home as well the same question that Simon just answered there. Who's the most reliable player in the Premier League for you from your team in the past?
What have you got?
Well, Shoab's actually picked a current player. He says the most reliable player for Chelsea is Cesar Azpilicueta. He's the cornerstone of our team and a real legend of the game as well. Let us know what you think. #PLFans. Right, let's take a look then at the current oldest players playing their trade here. Is that polite enough? I'm not sure.
Yeah, I think so.
Thank you. Ben Foster's
Round
the
of applause
oldest.
for Ben Foster.
Yeah, he's doing it for the 38-year-olds there, isn't it? He does it all as well. Podcasts, cycling, plays a bit of football, I believe, too. Cristiano Ronaldo's in there, of course, in third. But we are going to focus, as you can see, on Thiago Silva now, who's certainly belying his age with his performances this season. Elizabeth Helenek is joining us now. A bit like Ben Foster, she's a Chelsea fan, a YouTuber, a podcaster as well. She does it all, really, doesn't she? Hello, welcome to Premier League Today once again. Let's talk about Thiago Silva then. I mean, he's pretty old. Let's be sort of open about this for a footballer, but he's been brilliant again, hasn't he?
Yeah, I mean, he really has surprised and impressed me so much since he's come to Chelsea. We've seen even players in their 20s or in their prime have a bit of a hard time adjusting to the pace and the physicality of the Premier League. But Thiago Silva really just slotted into that Chelsea backline and has hardly put a foot wrong. It's so incredibly impressive. You can see just there, he reads the game so incredibly well and makes really important blocks and tackles. And he's just playing at the highest level for Chelsea still. So he's the living example that age is just a number.
Yeah, I think we can all agree with that. He seems to be consistently as well at top levels. But look, it's season by season at Chelsea. Do you see him renewing for another season after this one is up?
I think so for a couple of reasons. The first being that, like we've seen in those clips before, he's still playing at the highest level. He's still such an important player for Chelsea. He makes really important tackles, blocks, and interceptions. And Thomas Tuchel spoke about this, that he still needs to be playing at the top level. And if he does that, he can get a contract extension. So we see here his stats. I mean, it's just absolutely incredible. First for clearances in the Premier League, first for blocks as well. And he hasn't even played that many minutes. And I think also on the other side, on the player side, Thiago Silva and his family seem really settled at Chelsea. And I think that he would want to play another year at the highest level. So I do think that he's going to get that contract extension.
Yeah, and as well, Elizabeth, it's not necessarily just his performances that have impressed at Chelsea. It's the way he sort of influenced the defence there as well, and the whole team, because, of course, under Frank Lampard and Thomas Tuchel, there's been lots of young players getting an opportunity for the first time in the Chelsea first team, and Thiago Silva will have helped them no end as well.
Yeah, I think just for the team in general, it must be so reassuring and comforting to know that if anything happens, you have Thiago Silva either behind you or to your side, because 9 times out of 10, he's going to be able to sniff out that danger and help the team. So I think that that's really impressive. And his experience just is so evident whenever he's on the pitch. And we've seen that he's been able to help these young players on and off the pitch, and that they really want to step up to the standard that he exerts and in the Premier League and when he's playing as well. So I think that he just has such a positive influence on the team.
Yeah, so much experience, a positive influence. Good for someone like Thomas Tuchel to know he can rely on him fully. Do you think Thomas Tuchel sometimes is just like, oh, Thiago Silva, you're a voice in that back line, you can sort out the defenders, you can have that gig?
I mean, I think, Thomas Tuchel as well is very smart in the way that he knows all of these strengths and weaknesses of players, but they definitely have a really special relationship. They play together at PSG and now again at Chelsea. So I think that he knows that he can rely on Thiago Silva and especially his experience to read the game in order to help the team, especially with the morale as well.
Yeah, what about your most reliable player ever then, Elizabeth? We're asking fans at home about this. #PLFans. If you want to get involved, you don't need to do that, Elizabeth. You can just tell us. You don't need to tweet us. Who would you go for? Don't pick Thiago Silva, please. Don't pick Cesar Azpilicueta either, because lots of people are going for them. Try and pick someone else, please.
You stole the words out of my mouth. I was going to go for Azpilicueta because I think that he's plays across the back line. If I have to think of somebody else that is really reliable, I think he's a little young, but Mason Mount, if I'm going for a Chelsea player, I think that he's consistently one of the best players on the pitch. He's still super young, but he's contributing to goals and assists. And Chelsea just look like such a good team and a force to be reckoned with whenever he's on the pitch. So I think even though he's young, he still has a lot to learn. He's one of the most consistent players for Chelsea.
Yeah, I'd have picked probably Ashley Cole from the past at Chelsea as well. I always thought he was a player who seemed to be reliable, and he was 8 out of 10, it seemed, every single week. He seemed to pocket whichever winger he came up.
Henry.
Yeah.
At Arsenal, that's a really good shout. Any more? Do you keep them coming into us?
Spectacularly reliable,
yes,
wasn't he?
Hashtag PL fans, right, coming up.